Hello guys, and welcome back to Joe's Ventures. And after a little break, we're going to be doing the new devlog for Prehistoric Kingdom. So we've got devlog 28 for April 2020, and we're going to get right into it. Just like these guys were, we can see here, they just really wanted to show off their latest and greatest, the last animal of their species spotlights. We've got the T-Rex. We'll get more into him later as we get through the devlog, but anyway, we'll get into it. Welcome to April's development update. The past month has been highly productive for the PK team. As always, there is much gameplay and art to cover, as well as more animal showcases than usual thanks to a certain theropod that you didn't see just right above us because they don't want to show it off instantly. So let's dive in. Stage development progress. Development continues to advance at a steady pace, with lots of the work being put into the terrain system and modular editing. We're also managed to start on cool new features like rudimentary guest AI, which is going to be awesome. We hit an important milestone with our modular system, implementing a gizmo-based editing tool. Soon enough, this complex yet useful tool will be completed, allowing us to occupy more of development time on the game's management aspects. Water painting also proceeds wonderfully as well, and we can't wait to show off what's in store in the next few devlogs. So that's going to be awesome. So we can see the development progress here. See they're in pre-alpha 2. We can see all the new stuff. Really all the new stuff going on. We see the new plants, new modular buildings, landscaping, all that. Working on the art assets and more animations and pretty much all the same stuff. Isn't never too many. Or there can be too many, but whatever. So we'll move into programming now. Visitor crowds. With character models in the pipeline, Matt's begun experimenting with visitor pathfinding and instancing. So far, results have been promising. Although there is no true AI or needs at the moment, we're able to get up to about 10,000 entities navigating our test levels with a minimal hit to performance. So that's very good. That might change considering when they have more needs. There'll be more animals. Just as further things go on, it might need to be dulled down a bit, but looking like just an empty map, you can have up to 10,000, which is pretty cool. Since our playable area is so large, we've been working to provide an optimal balance between guest simulation and crowd population so that they don't take computing resources away from other areas of the game when making bigger parks. So if you make a huge park and then the guests kind of like hold up your computer, because your computer only has so much power, so you need to have better optimization. So they're going to try and optimize everything for players that are on not very good PCs, or just try and make it so everyone can play it and doesn't break their computer, which is awesome. So we'll watch the crowd testing. Oh, did that wrong. We can see here they're looking around, doing their thing, walking, and we can see that there are certain ones that like having animations in the restaurants and such. Just so that looks nice. So we can see the next one. Here's the crowd testing. Let's have a look. So you can see them sitting in the viewing vents. Also some sitting at the restaurants again. Clearly vibing, doing their thing. I like the guy just sitting back chilling. It's actually quite nice. That's a lot of people. That really is a lot of people. So now, if you're questioning their bizarre aesthetic, don't worry. The guests won't be all yellow drones, even though I hope there's some yellow drones, because I think that's quite funny looking. Might be a cool Easter egg or something, unless some of them really want to. Yeah, I want to. Can I please have yellow drones? So I can feed my guests to the dinosaurs and have like literally no emotional attachment, even though I probably won't anyway with the guests, but anyway. We are excited to be working with a talented character artist to help bring the humans of Prehistoric Kingdom back to life. Now that's going to be awesome. Stay tuned for more news on this front in the coming months. So that'll be cool to see. And now we've got modular building. Mal integrated the 3D editing gizmo into the modular building systems, supporting the addition of beams, pillars, rocks and foliage. It is one of the core components. We've added a variety of additional tools to the gizmo to help streamline the construction process. So let's see how that comes along. Let's just make it 1080p. So it's all nice. Oh, that's cool. So now you can move it around, you can flatten it out and make it wider. That's genuinely awesome. Now you can see the moss on it. The moss is dynamic. So that means the moss will always face towards the sun, which is pretty cool. That has to be pretty awesome, gotta be honest. So there's also dynamic moss that always point towards the sky. That is so cool, like those little details. And I'm also really happy to see that the they're really adding onto the modular system that things like Planet Zoo is just taking that a whole step further of creativity, because you'll be able to change the size and the dimensions of the actual objects, which is so awesome to see. I'm really excited to be able to play with that so I can make everything fit perfectly. That is just so exciting. So now we've been continually increasing the state of usability. We've recorded some footage showcasing some of the opportunities available to creative players in Prehistoric Kingdom. Here's a short demonstration video of an animal house being built, so here we'll have a good idea of what it looks like. So, let me just put that on 1080 so we get a nice good look. Let it just load. See it's placing on the grid, very similar to Planet Zoo with those kind of games. Look at that, isn't that nice? Just seems very streamlined. Look at this. You see it stretch it up. Look at this. Now that's cool. Just be able to make it fit perfectly. That's awesome. So you don't need to worry about things that cannot kill to now, you can just morph it to fit perfectly. Same with the board as well. That's cool. Look, rotate it again. Very similar to like a lot of other things I've been building, like Planet Zoo, but also added this ground to morph it. Just pass around here. Oh, that looks incredible. Just that. So awesome to be able to make that in the game. And it looks so easy to build too. Like, you just need to change and play around with certain things. Pretty awesome. I like that a lot. So now we'll be moving on to the species spotlights. So with the arrival of the mighty Tyrannosaurus and two of our biggest sauropods, we've reached the end of our species spotlights. Thank you for everyone who stuck with us through all 50 reveals. So yeah, been through all of that. That's a lot of animals. That was, I think they started back almost a year ago now. We can't wait to bring you the next component bring you new content over the future. So here we have Brachiosaurus, Altithorax, that likes topical drive from the Morrison period, not the Morrison period, Morrison formation of the Jurassic period, the Morrison period. From the USA, so we can see the paddock here. It likes about 2 kilometers. I think we'll actually just quickly zoom in a wee bit just to get a better look at that. So look, we're about 2 kilometers squared, and we see it likes quite a bit of foliage density to about 45-50%, so that's all right. The foliage water water density is about 5 to 10%, so it likes a little bit of water in its habitat, but doesn't like too much. It's very, very finicky. The social group, up to 3. We know from the fossils that we don't have very many Brachiosaurus, so it's quite possible that it was quite rare in the Morrison. So it's possible they didn't live in large herds because they were not very common. They're not found together, just not that often found. Though obviously that's just the bias of the fossil record, but you can make inferences from that. And we can see it doesn't mind being looked at, just likes a little bit of privacy, about 25%. And we can see, since it's a huge animal, this animal's humongous, it's a large sauropod, the security rating is obviously 100% since it's one of the strongest animals in the game. Paired with the next guy we've got here, we'll have a look at the skins later though. Argentinosaurus, hunchilenensis. Sorry for butcher. I can't really speak much good Spanish or Portuguese or anything like that, so forgive me for my pronunciation. But here we've got Argentinosaurus. He likes tropical dry, and he's from the Cretaceous period, from the Hunsul Formation in Argentina. Likes a little bit more space, about 3 kilometers squared at the maximum. We've got foliage density 15 to 20%, so not as much as Brachiosaurus, but still likes quite a bit of plants and plant coverage. And we can see he likes a little bit of water, just not too much. A little bit of water is okay. Social group between 1 to 10 animals, so is a little bit more social than Brachiosaurus, and also quite a bit bigger, and isn't quite as secretive, doesn't really care about being seen, and again being the largest animal in the game, which Argentinosaurus was just huge. You can see here that he's 100% security as well, and we can see the different skins. And last but certainly not least, we have Tyrannosaurus Rex, who likes temperate oceanic and is from the late Cretaceous of the Hell Creek Formation in the United States. It has a minimum paddock size, or maximum I think, about 1.5 kilometers squared, so they like quite a bit of space. About 50 to 55 foliage density, so likes quite a bit, probably to help stalk prey. 15 to 20% water density, because Hell Creek was sort of temperate, tropical almost, something like that. Temperate oceanic is probably the best way to describe it. Had quite a bit of water around it. There weren't really huge droughts and such. And obviously being a large predator, it looks like here they went with just one animal, so it's really only one animal in the paddock, unless you want to breed them. Privacy, 10%, doesn't mind being seen. It's like, what's he got to be scared of? And though not quite as large and powerful as the sauropods, still a very dangerous animal, so has a pretty high security rating of about 80%. And we can see he's got 4 skins now, with one little extra old species, which we'll get into a little bit later. So moving into the art. So animation. Large and elegant, Lambeosaurus was a giant hadrosaur that roamed Cretaceous Canada, most distinctively known for its hollow hatchet-like crest. Like the other duck-billed dinosaurs, Lambeosaurus features the option to switch between a bipedal and quadrupedal stance. So yeah, see, we can see the Lambeosaurus walk cycle, which I quite like. He's just walking, doing his thing. Gives a nice energy to it. And here we have the bipedal run for Lambeosaurus. I think it looks quite nice. Always, because the thing is with these kind of larger animals, you got to support as much weight as they can. So they usually try to keep as many legs as they can on the ground at the same time. So you can see that usually when one leg's lifted up, the other hits the ground. So that was quite good. And then we see the bipedal. That's the bipedal run here. The quadrupedal run. We can see that here, so he tries to keep as many feet on the ground as possible to support his weight. Since he's not like exceptionally huge for a dinosaur, it's still a very heavy animal. And yeah, I think that looks quite good. I like how the tail sways. I like the energy of the tail, because that just gives it a lot more movement. And next we're moving on to the feisty Protoceratops, a small ceratopsian from Mongolia, best characterized for its large neck frill and lack of pointed horns. With muscular jaws capable of powerful bites, this quadrupedal dinosaur gave the most determined predator a run for its money. So yeah, if you've seen the fighting dinosaur specimens, I think that Velociraptor would have known how bad a bite those chompers could give, because he has a pretty big beak. It could really nip an arm off or something. Could be quite painful. And we can see he's just the walk cycle. I really like this, just plodding along, not so much energy. And then here's the run cycle. Looks like he's given a good trot or a gallop. He's having fun. It's a little fast, but again, it's a GIF, so it doesn't really happen. But I think this is a pretty nice one. Pretty much all of the runs have been some of the runs, I'll say, not that much. Some of the runs have just been a little bit iffy, just because they've kind of made them feel too light, or making them gallop or something, which is fine for a design aspect, but anatomically dinosaurs probably couldn't gallop because they had very inflexible bodies, unlike like a mammal, because mammals have lumbar vertebrae. But obviously I think that looks good here. I really like this Protoceratops. But yeah, that's just something to keep in mind. Like, the game's not 100% accurate, but there's a little things like that that just kind of rule of cool, which is fine. It's a design choice. And here we are. To top it all off, Enjoy a teaser of our T-Rex in-game run animation slowed down for dramatic effect. We'll be showcasing more of its animations in a classic format in the coming months. So here we can see the T-Rex running. Well, that's quite nice. He's got a big, powerful walk. Now that feels heavy. Obviously it's slowed down, but you can see how big and heavy he feels. I really like that. Plus the skin's actually alright. And here we can see the audio. Screaming and scratching in an adorable fashion. Everyone's favourite quilled ceratopsian potentially takes the cake for the cutest animal in the game. Who am I to disagree? I love it. Although small, the stout Psittacosaurus could deliver a painful bite to any unsuspecting threats. So we can see here. Listen to all the nice sounds of I like that. I like the energy of it. It just seems like small, chirpy, just wanted to do its thing. I like the energy of that. It really gives it like a cute, chirpy, and like high energy character. I really like that. So you see it running around and just doing its thing, being quite active. I really like that. So then it was done by Beyond, of course. And here we are, animal showcases. The recent trend of animal updates extended to some of the most popular species in the game, and their need for anatomical and graphical improvements became more apparent. So here we are. The absolute largest dinosaurs in our roster underwent a major design changes. While Brachiosaurus mostly kept the same colour scheme from its previous iteration, its general proportions and underlying tissue changed in order to fit a more classical view. So the older Brachiosaurus was quite a bit more chunky, kind of to the extent where it was kind of unrealistic. So here it's kind of been slimmed down a bit and kind of more classic view, which is probably the more right view, because some animals obviously just being overly too fat is just looks weird, but it's also probably not accurate. But I think they didn't shrink wrap them at all here, because shrink wrapping is kind of just been made as a term that just says, oh, you can see a little bit of bone showing, oh, it's shrink wrap. But no, you can see often in even modern animals, you can often see muscles underneath. And most animals, even wild animals, are not that fatty. So you still be able to see muscle and underlying feet. You just don't see the vertebrae poking out unless the animal is extremely sick or severely underweight. But I think the new dinosaurs look so much better in almost every aspect. So here we are, the Brachiosaurus, we'll have a look soon. And on the other hand, Argentinosaurus evolved far more drastically, as our portrayal of this massive sauropod made better use of the limited knowledge that we have on the matter. Most notably, the most impressive row of osteoderms on its flank, as well as more accurate neck posture and head shape. So the older Argentinosaurus was made quite a few years ago, and there's been a lot of other finds of related titanosaurs, which suggests that it had a much different shaped neck and face, and also osteoderms, which are quite common in titanosaurs. So that's what they've changed, but we'll get up to that soon. So we can see here the Brachiosaurus. I think the skins just fit perfectly this new one as well. I love the new Brachiosaurus. And we can see the neck's a little bit more traditional. It's not quite overly fat, and same with the face. Keeps the more classic shape, but it's still got that PK feel, and it's still quite anatomically accurate. It's pretty much spot on. It is spot on, that's what I should say. And I think, considering you guys know I really like Brachiosaurus, it has my seal of approval. I think the only thing I would potentially change is just round out that nose a little bit more, just because it's a little bit, it's not shrink wrapped, but it's probably the minimum of the tissue, like you would expect. Just round that out a little bit more, but that was more of a design choice to keep the basic overall shape more classic to the JP style, but it's really a minor thing. It's a 9 out of, it's not a 9, it's a 10 out of 10 for me, so I'm really happy with this. And then moving on to Argentinosaurus here, we can see the longer neck and the osteoderms. The skins themselves still stick on quite well. I really like the energy of this one. You can see the impressive osteoderms there. looking quite nice. And you can see the face, based on more closely related titanosaurs that we've found since the original model was made. So been quite a few edits to change it up. And we can see the comparison here. We can see the face here, not quite as chunky as it was, but still not shrink wrapped at all. You can see there's a lot more detail in general. This big fleshy bit here has been taken down, and you can see it's just a lot more fleshy. Yeah, it looks great. It honestly looks great. And you can see it's not overly fat, but it still is not shrink wrapped at all. I love it. And we can see the Argentinosaurus. It looks it just looks more realistic as a thing. You can see the necks change and the osteoderms have changed quite a bit. It looks very different. The anatomy's just been updated to fit more what we know now. And yeah, the older style of Prehistoric Kingdom was kind of a little bit more cartoonish, but now they've got this more realistic style coming, and I gotta say, it's incredible. I really love it. It just looks great. And now we'll be looking at a surprise here. Last in our line of hadrosaurs to be improved, Edmontosaurus receives a new default skin to reflect the project's higher artistic standards and obvious anatomical improvements, including trademark toe hooves. So we can see here, there's the hooves, and we can see the Regalis is the one that's changed. We can see this is Regalis here, the old one versus the new. I think it looks quite nice. It looks so much better now. You see these little orange ones. It just kept the same kind of color, but it looks much better. I like the energy of it. And we can see the male and female here, the Ugronalic or Cucupinensis, the smaller one, the pole one, you could say. It's now generally considered just the northern population of E. regalis, but in the game it works, it's fine. And Eonectens. So Eonectens obviously suffers from the old species problem just because it can't really truly fit the anatomy, but I think it still looks quite good. It's very nice skin that fits quite well. I like it. And then finally we have Tyrannosaurus Rex. Finally, Tyrannosaurus was granted some much needed love. Besides its touched up, more accurate physiology, we modified some of the head characteristics to better match the style and personality we strive to achieve with this formidable theropod. More so, Tyrannosaurus now features a more diverse feathered design, with its default skin incorporating its Asian relative, Tarbosaurus. So look down here. We're very proud of this result, and it's a good compromise between a realistic portrayal and a more iconic look. So you can see here is Tyrannosaurus beta, and here you can see it's got pretty alright anatomy. It's an old species, but yeah, the face has generally been slimmed, and it looks quite good. But you can see here the obvious. It has kind of these half lips, which were incorporated into the design to try and have a little more of a JP flair, which is probably not the most. Is definitely not the most realistic, because from what we can infer from animals, like the ancestral condition from like squamates and such, because birds and dinosaurs, even though they don't really have fleshy lips, they've kind of independently lost them, so they're not a good comparison for the basal condition. But yeah, this does still technically have lips. It's just the lip extent is probably not that realistic. From looking at squamates, usually the teeth are covered because they want to keep the moisture in and protect the teeth, because that's how most lips work. And yeah, most paleontologists, pretty much all of them, agree that the lips like you see in lizards today are probably the best analog we have for dinosaurs. But yeah, it still looks quite nice. I personally don't like the decision, but the design itself is overall incredible. I love it, especially the Scorned one. I like how they added Tarbosaurus because it's still quite a unique animal. It represents some sort of different evolution in Tyrannosaurus, because it's little bit more lanky and not as bulky as Tyrannosaurus itself. You can see it's just a little bit thinner. It's more like it's a Tyrannosaurus trying to be a Giganoto or Carcharodontosaurus, because it was kind of adapted. It didn't have quite as big jaws, and was more adapted for shearing flesh rather than crushing bone like Tyrannosaurus, which is the most derived example, or the best example of the big bone crushing jaws of Tyrannosaurus. And we can see Scorn. I really like this red one. The Gula pouch might be a bit too big, but I like the concept of that. We actually have skin impressions of that suggesting a pouch, which is cool. And then we can see Tyrannosaurus Rex itself. Looks great. I love the skin. I love the orange on it and the patterns. Looks great. And even this female's been like made more subtle. I love it. It looks great. Even the face is great. I love the brow ridge and everything. It really is like peak K, we could say, because it just reflects the new look of looking a lot more realistic. It just looks incredible. I love it. I actually love it. And then we can see leather hide. Now this is probably the oldest skin in the game, and it's perfect. It's just like the best skin for PK. It's like the most iconic skin, and it fits onto this Rex almost perfectly, and I genuinely love it. You can see the male and female there. It's just great. I love it. Leather hide is just most iconic skin, and it's been translated perfectly to this more realistic model. I really do. I cannot complain about it. And here we got Brumal, which is the new feathered skin. We can see it's probably my least favorite because it's got blue, and blue's not really the most common thing in nature, but obviously it's a design choice. Obviously we're stuttering a bit there, and we can see from the most recent evidence, it seems likely that Tyrannosaurus probably lost its feathers independently from its ancestors like Guanlong, based on feathers, and Eutyrannus as well, based on skin impressions from relatives like Albertosaurus and Tarbosaurus, for example. So we can kind of see that it's most likely kind of independently lost that from its relative. And plus, there's this talk of a 3-ton rule where any animal over 3 tons probably couldn't be feathered, so that could probably play a part, but we don't really know. But the most reasonable thing is to go with the scaly approach at the moment, but this is a very nice feathered skin, and I think it looks great. And here we can see the comparison. We can see the leather hide just fits so much better. We can see the much better details, and the wrinkles there, and the scales look so much better. Anatomy's been updated quite a bit. It just looks incredible. And yeah, that really finishes off quite well. We can see the community spotlight. I like this. This is quite cute. Nice little Brachiosaurus. The Brachiosaurus is... I love Brachiosaurus. It's like one of my favorites. It's really hard to have a favorite dinosaur, but Brachiosaurus has always had a special place in my heart. And we can see someone who did a fan art for Prehistoric Kingdom. Fan animation. Let's see. It's quite nice to see someone interested in PK and doing animations like that. I really hope that person, Hippo Draco, really takes animation as a career, because that could be something he could be good at. And yeah, hope to see more of these in the future, more community spotlights, more fan art, more stuff, the better. So thank you for reading April's Devlog. The eventual release of the game is getting closer. We're excited to bring you more goodies to the table and coming May. Keep an eye out for our social medias for any announcement or new information. Until next time, the PK team. Yeah, very, very nice big devlog. Probably a little bit longer than most videos I've done for PK, but it was really worth it for this nice devlog. Really showing off pretty much the biggest and best animals in the game. So yeah, hopefully you guys really enjoyed this video, because I enjoyed talking about it. Hopefully you guys like and subscribe, and bye-bye.